Please turn to page 224 for opinion writing about a text. On the top of this page, you will notice that I have a checklist. This checklist is for you to use so that you can analyze your students' writing. You want to check that they have the content, what is it that has to be an opinion, are all those elements in place, and are they organized? You also want to be able to analyze their sentences. What skills do they have in place when it comes to their sentences? So you can use your checklist to make sure that those are in place at this stage. And finally, mechanics. What should you expect students to have in place at this stage? You're using this checklist to go to their piece of writing to make sure that they have all the skills for a stage 5. Below this, you will notice a filled-in organizer and piece of student writing. At a stage 5, our organizer is going to be one that you will duplicate and give to your students at the beginning of the year, but remember, ultimately, they will make their own organizer. This is just to show you a completed organizer and a final revised student piece of writing. There's our checklist and a sample organizer and writing. Let's also look at all the different pages we are going to use for this stage 5 opinion writing about a text. On the next page, we will begin our lesson with a chant. So notice you have your chant on this page. Duplicate page 225 and mount it on a file folder. This file folder actually has pockets inside that I will show you in a couple of moments so that you can store your tools for stage 5. Notice this is only for stage 5 opinion writing. Here's our chant and the tools for stage 5 will be inside. I'll show you those tools in a moment. The final 2 pages that we will be using in this lesson are on pages 226 and 227. On 226 is our organizer. During this demo lesson, I suggest that you fill this organizer in. You will have another black line master later in this chapter to give to your students. So this is for you to fill in while we walk through our demo lesson. On the facing page, page 227, you will see I have 4 tools displayed that I can utilize during my writing lesson at stage 5. Let's jump in our chapter to show you where these tools are, and I'll show you how to put them together. Pages 233 to 237 have been put together in this manual so that you duplicate them back to back and staple them together. So we have our writing folder with the chant on the front, and inside are pages 233 to 237. I've duplicated back to back these pages and stapled them together. This way, when you're using any of the tools, you can easily open them up to the page so that you can show them to your students. And also, easily store them back in your file folder so you don't lose them. Let's look at each one of these tools. Pages 234 and 235 are pages in which your children can use to form an opinion. On page 234, we have a page to form an opinion about a topic or text. On page 235, here is a page that you can have just for text if you want to do character traits for a story or for a topic, for a person that you want to have an opinion about. On pages 236 and 237, these are our final tools for stage 5. These tools are only when you are writing an opinion about a text. On both these pages, we have snappy endings. This book is, and it tells us a positive or negative reaction the reader may have about this book. In the following page, this book will. And this is a positive or negative action the reader may have about this book. It's just a wonderful way to end your opinions about a text with a snappy ending. And here's some ideas listed for the students to use. On page 238 is your black line master for writing an opinion about a topic, and on page 239 is your black line master for stage 5 to write an opinion about a text. And finally, on page 240 is a writing page for your students to write out their opinion once they filled in their organizer. We reviewed our tools for stage 5. I highly suggest that you store your tools using some sort of file folder where you can put the chant on the front, staple together and make a little tool booklet. And notice in this pouch, I have a black line master of the organizer for writing an opinion about a text and on the reverse side for a topic. I laminate this and fill it in so I can use this over and over when the students and I are walking through a lesson. Let's start our lesson for Stage 5, writing an opinion about a text. We're going to write an opinion about a story we've been reading entitled Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Let's walk through the steps and I'll demonstrate just like I would if I were with the students. On page 225 is your chant. Boys and girls, we're going to write an opinion about the story we've been reading, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. We've learned that an opinion is what we think or feel about a topic or text, and today, what are we going to do? We're going to say what we think or how we feel about a text, about a story we've read, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. We know what an opinion is, but what do we need in our opinion? Let's say our opinion chant so we know what will be in an opinion. Ready? Put a finger up so that that's you, the writer. Then put some other fingers up so that you are telling your opinion to an audience, people who are going to read your opinion. And this is what you're going to say. I tell my opinion. So you're telling the people your opinion. Ready? I tell my opinion. We know you can't just tell your opinion. What do you have to do? I give reasons that back it up. Oh, so I can't just tell you my opinion. These people aren't going to let you get away with that. They're going to say, back it up, back it up, back it up. So when I give an opinion, what do? I tell my opinion, then I give reasons that back it up. So the people that are listening to my opinion will go, oh, okay, we'll listen to your opinion now because you have reasons to back it up. You can't just say your opinion. Next, we say the opinion chant. I have the students at their tables tell each other their opinion, and they all turn to each other and say, I tell my opinion, then I give reasons that back it up. We know our opinion chant and what we need to have in our opinion. Let's plan our opinion. On page 226, you have a black line master to fill out in this lesson. This is for you to fill in during our demo lesson. At the end of this chapter, you have another black line master that you can duplicate for your students. So remember, fill this in as we go along. On page 227, I have the tools that I may be using during this lesson. Let's go ahead and get started. Boys and girls, we just finished reading Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. And what are we going to do? We're going to have an opinion. So the first thing I do is I go like this. I have an opinion about Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. And what can I have an opinion about? I could have an opinion about the entire story. I could say it's my favorite story, or I love the story, or it was a sad but exhilarating story. It was an exciting story. Or I could go in and I can have an opinion about a character in the story or characters in the story. I could tell you a lesson you could learn from this story. Let's look at our story and let's decide what we want to have an opinion about. So the first thing we need to do is have an opinion. And when you have an opinion, you have to bring the story back in front of your brain. You have to, in your mind, review the story. That's when I tell the children, let's go through and review the story. Let's just review what happened in the story so that we can remember all the parts before we have our opinion. Now, I want to let you know that if you go to the lessons that I have in the K1 writing videos and you go to stage 4 opinion writing, you will see that instead of having the students walk through the story like I'm going to do now, I made a sequencing board where we sequenced out in boxes all the events in the story for them to see all together at one time. Once they hit 2nd and 3rd grade, I don't need to do that, but I should say there may be students that even when they flip through just their story, they have a difficult time remembering all the parts just by flipping through the pages. They need to see them sequenced out in boxes, one after the other. If you need to use that scaffolding strategy to remind the students what happened in the story, go to my video in K1 Writing, Stage 4 Opinion Writing, to see how I had my sequencing board. Let's continue. Boys and girls, we have Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Let's go through and review the pages. So what the students do is they go through and they review, looking at the pages at their tables, talking about what happened on each page. And I'm walking around and I'm listening to them to make sure that they can remember everything that happened in the story. Once we finish our review, then I go back and we have a discussion. Boys and girls, we've learned lessons from this story. And we also learned different things about characters in this story. Let's take the characters in the story. We know that in this story, little Sylvester turned into a rock. We could write an opinion about Sylvester and talk about what kind of character we think Sylvester is. But let's do something else, because I thought it was so interesting how when you were repeating the story, you were talking about how all the different characters in the story went looking for Sylvester. They were worried about him. They really cared for him. I thought that was interesting that you had those character traits for all the people in his community. Let's write an opinion about the characters in the story. Sylvester, his friends, and his parents. Let's write an opinion about them. As you were reviewing the story, and Sylvester, who loves to collect rocks, picked up that magic pebble, and he saw a lion and wished he was a rock so the lion wouldn't attack him, he turned into a rock. Hence, his whole community didn't know where he was because he couldn't turn back into himself. And now he was lost, so they all went out looking for him. And you kept talking about how they were looking for him, how they were really worried. Let's go to our character page. I have an opinion about a character. Let's look at that tool page. On our I have an opinion page, what we notice is we have all these character traits. And we have character traits that are positive character traits, and we have negative character traits. What kind of characters are in the book? What's our opinion? What were these actions specifically showing you? And we could say, oh, these were kind and caring characters. Excellent. So we're using our opinion tool page for a character, and we're coming up with our opinion now that Sylvester, his parents, his friends, and all the people in his community were kind and caring. There is our opinion. Once we have our opinion, we can go to our organizer and we can begin filling it in. Boys and girls, we have an opinion. Sylvester's entire community, his friends and family and the people in his community are caring and kind. Wait a minute. Hold on. Everybody, put your hands on your hips. Look at me. Give me a flat tire sign and go, shh. Ready? Shh. Now look at me and say, what are you talking about? Ready? What are you talking about? Who's Sylvester? What in the world are you saying? Oh, let's go to our top line here. We can't just give our opinion when we're talking about a story. We have to tell you who the author is and the title of the story so that when we give our opinion, people know what we're talking about. Okay, so when we have an opinion, we can't just start off by saying what our opinion is. We have to first give what? The author and then the title. Let's write our author's name and the title. Our author is William Steig. We're capitalizing W, why? Because it's his name. We're capitalizing the S, why? Because it's his last name. Let's read so far what we have. William Steig wrote, what are we writing now? The title of the book. How do we title a book? What do we do when it comes to capitalization? Capitalize the first word and all the important words in a title. What do? Capitalize the first word and all the important words in a title. Let's do it. Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. So we're going to write Sylvester is the first word and it's important. And those are not important words. Magic, that's an important word. Pebble, that's an important word. Let's start the beginning of our opinion by saying the author in the book. Ready? William Steig wrote the book, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Let's say it another way. The author, William Steig, wrote a book entitled Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Notice every time I go back to read this, we can say it a little bit differently. We don't want to say it exactly how we have it written down. The oral rehearsal should keep adding different ways and revising how you start the summary of the book. We have our author and the title. Next, we have an opinion. And when we start this opinion, what could we start with? Remember, we have I feel, I think, in my opinion. Those are some ways we can start. Over here we have I think. We could change it to in my opinion, I feel, I think. Let's keep the I think there, but when we're orally rehearsing, we could change it around if we want to. I think what? Who or what is this about? Is this opinion about? The characters in the book. Let's write that. I think many of the characters, let's put that. I'm just going to write the word characters. I can add words as I go along. So who or what is the opinion about? The characters in the book. What's our opinion? I said they are kind. So we could say they are kind-hearted. Let's go back and read our opinion now. The author, William Steig, wrote the book, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. I think the characters in this story are kind-hearted. Notice that I am saying are kind-hearted. When you give an opinion, you want to stay in present tense. We had our quick summary where we just told the author and title, and now we've given our opinion. So, boys and girls, we told the author and title and our opinion. What do we need to do next? Can I just tell you, well, I think the characters in the story are kind-hearted. Am I going to get away with that? No. Give it to me. Ready? Back it up, back it up, back it up. Oh, so boys and girls, we can't just say that these characters are kind-hearted. We have to back it up. How do we back it up? What do we do to back this up? I have to back it up. I have to prove, I have to show to you that they're kind-hearted. How do I do that? Can I just make this up? Or do I need to go back in the book to show you where characters were kind-hearted and caring? Oh, I have to go to the book. Here's a page where Sylvester was kind-hearted. He wasn't greedy. Actually, he found the magic pebble and he wanted to share this with his friends and family. Wow, that's kind-hearted. That's somebody who wants his family and his community to benefit from a magic pebble. What a neat guy. So I flipped through the book and I'll show several different places where characters were kind-hearted in this story. Once I do that, once I show them what I mean, then I say, boys and girls, flip through the story and tell the people at your table different places that you see where characters were caring and kind-hearted. Now, I want to just stop for one moment, teachers. When you come up with an opinion, notice I came up with an opinion because there is not just one or two places in this story where characters were kind-hearted and caring. There were many places. You want to make sure that when you have opinions that you have a lot of evidence in the book, many different places where they can back up with reasons from the text, back up their opinion. We want to make this so that the kids can quickly and easily find these reasons. Later, if you want to make it more complex, you can do that. But at first, you want them to be able to find the reason in the text, and you want many of them. So we've gone through the book. I'm walking around, and the kids at their tables are flipping through the book to find different places where the character was kind-hearted. Then I will stop the class and I may say something like, boys and girls, everyone stop. This group over here has found a page where a character is kind-hearted. Everybody go to that page. So we tell them the page number and they all go to that page. And then we have the students at that table go, we have an opinion. The characters in this story were kind-hearted. And then the entire class goes to that table group. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Just like that. And then that table group will read that page or tell about what's happening on that page in the picture to show the characters were kind-hearted. And you can do this several times. Once we have identified several places where a character is kind-hearted, we go back to our organizer and we're going to fill it in. Boys and girls, let's go to the first page that we found a character that was kind-hearted. We said this was the page where Sylvester found a pebble and he wanted to share his magic with his family and friends. Let's go to our first reason box. We are not going to say a sentence yet. We're only recording our reason. So I could write a couple of keywords or I could draw a quick picture. I think I'm going to draw a quick picture of Sylvester finding the magic pebble. Oh, look, it's not an art project. I'm just showing him finding the magic pebble. Here he is. He wants to share the magic pebble with his family and friends. So I'm going to just put the word share there so I can remember that. We went to the text, we found the page, and we recorded a picture and keywords for that evidence. Let's find some more evidence that we found to show that some characters were kind-hearted and caring. The next page was when the police were very upset because they were looking for Sylvester and they couldn't find him. So they were caring because they were upset and they couldn't find Sylvester. So we show, here's the police. We'll just write the word police. They searched for Sylvester because they were caring and they were worried about him. So I'm just writing a couple of key words there. Police searched for Sylvester. but couldn't find him. We have one more, so we have 2 reasons so far. 1, 2. We need one more reason to back up that the characters in the story were kind-hearted. This was a great part of the story. This is when all the dogs went and smelled in every nook and cranny that they possibly could find, everywhere, smelling and trying to find Sylvester, but they couldn't find him. So I'm going to just draw a dog here, sniffed and looked all throughout the forest and every part of the forest trying to find Sylvester, but they didn't. We have our 3 reasons why the characters, how all the different characters were carrying in the story. Let's go back and let's add our transitions. Notice you have starter words at the bottom of each one of these boxes. The students can choose from these words, or you can start making new ones. You can start listing even more words. At first, I just give them 3 to choose from. Let's start our first reason sentence. We'll go back and we'll say the beginning of our opinion, and let's plan our reason sentence. When I do that, I want you to notice that I can choose a transition, but before I do that, I want to plan out my reason sentence. So watch what I'm going to do. We're going to say our beginning. The author, William Steig, wrote Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. I think this story is packed with kind-hearted characters for many reasons. I'm going to now jump to this first reason box, and I'm going to ask the kids to form the sentence. I'm going to say, who is kind-hearted in this first box? Oh, it's Sylvester. What did Sylvester do that was kind-hearted? Sylvester found a magic rock and wanted to share its power with his family and friends. Wow, that's showing how he's kind and giving and kind-hearted. Do we want to start this? I could just start it with the word Sylvester and get rid of the comma. Or I could start it with a transition, special words that connect one idea to the next idea. Let's start with the transition. How about to start? Let's say our paper now. William Steig, notice I keep going back and repeating because that's what good writers do. Good writers always reread so everything flows. William Steig wrote Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. I think the characters in this story are kind-hearted for many reasons. To start, Sylvester finds a magic pebble and wants to share it with his friends and family. Let's go to the next reason. Notice I wrote, I want to keep it in the present tense, so I'm going to get rid of the ED. In our second reason, who or what is being kind-hearted? So notice I keep going back up to the opinion. You're teaching kids, we're staying on topic. Our reasons have to back up how characters were kind-hearted. So we're always starting with the subject of our reason. Who or what is being kind-hearted? The police. What did the police do in the story that showed they were kind-hearted? The police searched all over for Sylvester and were upset because they didn't find him. So we have our second reason. Do we want to add our transition? Let's look at some of our different transitions. Next, also, additionally, let's use next because it's our next reason. I don't want to use also or additionally because it sort of acts like it's still about Sylvester being kind. We're going on to the police being kind, so let's say next. Next, the police searched all over for Sylvester and were upset when they couldn't find him. Love it. Notice how I keep saying it over and over until I like my sentence. Let's go to our last reason. Remember, who or what is being kind-hearted? The dogs. What did the dogs do to show they were kind-hearted? The dogs sniffed and looked in every part of the forest trying to find lost Sylvester. Again, we could just say the, starting the sentence off with the dogs. But let's try a transition. Finally, last, in the end, let's use finally. We have all of our reasons. Let's go back and orally rehearse this. William Steig wrote Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. I think the characters in this story were kind-hearted. I think this story is packed with kind-hearted characters for many reasons. To start, Sylvester found a magic pebble and wanted to share it with his family and friends. Next, the police searched all over the community looking for Sylvester. Finally, the dogs sniff and look in every part of the forest looking for lost Sylvester. We have our introduction where we said our title, author, and our opinion. We go to the body, and what do we have in the body? Reasons, reasons, reasons to back up that opinion. Let's end with our conclusion. Repeat that opinion and end it with a snap. We have at the end, I feel. So in the beginning, we said I think. We're going to repeat our opinion and this time maybe say I feel. I feel. Who or what are we talking about? The characters in this book. And who were these characters? They were an entire community. So I could say something like, I feel this community instead of the characters. Let's write the word community there. I feel this community or this community of characters. What about them? We're kind-hearted. What's another way that I could say that? Ooh, we're caring. So we have our conclusion. And again, I wrote down keywords. It's not my complete sentence. I feel this was a community filled with caring characters. There's many different ways that you can say it. You go back and forth trying to come up with how you want to say that sentence. We want to end this with a snappy ending. We want to tell the reader, now that we've given our opinion about this book, what this book is going to do for them. So we are going to jump to our tools page to say, this is how you're going to feel or what you're going to do once you finish reading this book, reader. So we'll go to our tool page to help them come up with ideas. Notice I have this book is. Is this book going to make someone feel or do something that's positive or negative? Positive. So I'm going to put a circle around the happy face, or this book will, and a circle around the happy face. We're only going to look at those ideas there. We're going to go up and down our list looking at different ways that this book can affect the reader. So this snappy ending, we could say to the reader what this book is, how it's superb, a must-read, the best, fascinating, breathtaking, magnificent. Or I can tell the reader with the next tool, I can tell them what the book will do for them, what effect the book should have on the audience. This book will make your sides split. I don't know about that. This book will make your socks roll up and down. I don't know. This book will turn you into a brainiac. This book will lift you to the moon and back. Hey, let's use that one, but let's change it. This book will lift your heart to the moon and back because it was filled with kind and caring characters. Let's use that one. So we go to our page. This book will lift, and then maybe I'll draw a heart, your heart, and maybe I'll put the moon up there, to the moon and back. And I'll just write the word back. Notice I'm just putting key words here. I don't need to write the whole thing out. I'm going to go back and read my entire paper. William Steig wrote the story, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. I think this story is packed with kind-hearted characters for many reasons. To start, the main character found a magic pebble and wanted to share it with his friends and family. Next, the police searched for the lost Sylvester and were upset when they couldn't find him. Finally, the dogs sniffed and looked in every nook and cranny in the forest to try to find the lost boy. I feel this community is filled with caring individuals. This book will lift your heart to the moon and back. We've gone through, we've orally rehearsed our organizer. The kids are reading them over and over again. When I feel like we have it down pretty well, we take out our red pens and we say, punctuation time. Let's put in our capitals, our commas, and our periods. So we go to the beginning, William, capital, Steig, capital. Wrote Sylvester. Sylvester needs to be capitalized, and the don't. They're not important. Magic is important, and Pebble is important. William Steig wrote the story, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Period. I, capital. I think the characters, or I think this story is packed with characters that are kind-hearted for many reasons. Okay. Period. To, capital. To start, comma. That's my transition. I need a comma after it. To start. Sylvester, or I also said to start the main character. I'm going to write Sylvester here with a capital just in case I use his name. To start, Sylvester found a magic pebble and wanted to share it with his friends and family. Period. Next, capital, comma. The police searched for the lost boy and were upset when they couldn't find him. Period. Finally, comma. The dogs sniffed and looked in every nook and cranny in the forest. Period. I, capital, feel this is a community with loving and caring individuals. This book, capital, will lift your heart to the moon and back. Period. The kids are going to orally rehearse their paper, and when I can hear that they have control over the language, how they're going to write it, I'll tell them to start writing it down. Students who need more assistance when it comes to the oral rehearsal, because if you can't say it, you're not going to be able to write it, I will pull them into a small group and we will orally rehearse our writing. When students are writing, I encourage them to orally rehearse their organizer and write it out. And as they write, they keep talking. So they would say something like, the author, William Steig, wrote the story, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. And as they write, the author, William Steig, they're saying it as they write. So they keep the sentence flowing, they write down all the words, and it makes sense. And they continue using the organizer. Children sometimes fill in an organizer and never use it. They try to go from memory. The point of an organizer, it has all your ideas organized. You've been rehearsing this. You're just trying to transfer it to paper. So orally rehearse, talk as you write. Go back, rehearse it, write it. Rehearse it, write it. As students are writing, I can walk around the room and give them immediate feedback if they've missed words, if they're not putting their capitals or punctuation in, if they need help rehearsing their sentence so it makes sense. I'm going to give them immediate feedback, which will increase their achievement levels in writing because of that immediate feedback. When students write out something, and then I pull them one-on-one to conference them about their writing, there's been a long time period between their actual writing and feedback from me. So the more I can give feedback as students are writing right as they write, the more they're going to increase their achievement levels because that feedback is at that point where they can use it and make a correction. Sometimes later when I give feedback, they don't even remember writing the paper. So it's important to walk around and check on how kids are writing and giving them feedback as they write. This is our Stage 5 opinion writing for a narrative text. On page 228 is an opinion already completed from a lesson, but this opinion about a text is about informational text. We walk through an opinion using Sylvester and the Magic Pebble using a narrative text. I want to show you that when you write an opinion, it doesn't just have to be about a narrative. You can write an opinion about information, a poem, a drama, any text that you read. Here we had information. So we had Judy Nair wrote Digging for Dinosaurs. Again, before we came up with our opinion, I had the kids review the whole book, talk about everything they learned in the book. And from that review, we learned many different things about dinosaurs that we thought were fascinating and amazing. So there was our opinion. I think dinosaurs are fascinating creatures for many reasons. Then the students went back in the books and they found 3 different reasons why dinosaurs were fascinating. They came up with their starter words. They have their sentences formed. At the end, notice they've repeated their topic sentence. Up here we had dinosaurs. They said these giant lizards. Up here were fascinating creatures. They wrote are interesting. And finally, they ended it with that snap where they use the is or will. I'm going to give you an opinion about this text. This text is superb, is wonderful, or this text will. What will this text do to you, the audience? And they came up with this text will make you dino smart. So they didn't use our tools of ideas. They just came up with their own. This text will make you dino smart. Why did they use that as a snappy ending? Because we were talking about how dinosaurs are interesting. They told you all these ways they were interesting, so now they felt like the person reading their paper will be smart about dinosaurs, knowing these interesting facts. They went back, they would add their capitals, their punctuation with a red pen, orally rehearse it, and notice on the facing page is a final piece of writing, totally revised, from Digging Dinosaurs. We were looking at Stage 5, writing about a text. We first started with a narrative and we ended this with writing an opinion about information. Our next video is going to be Stage 5, writing about a topic. That means that we are not going to go to a particular book. We may have studied in science, reading many books about a certain topic, and now we have an opinion about that topic. Or the same as in social studies. Or maybe it's just something in the child's world. We're going to have them give an opinion about a rule at school, or an opinion about food that they may find that's their favorite. It's about a topic, not a particular text that we're going to. I hope that you can use these strategies to teach your children Stage 5, writing about a text, whether it's a narrative or informational text. In the next video, working on just a topic.